Back to work, once again joined by the former mayor of Ferguson, Missouri, Brian Fletcher. And when it comes to better understanding the police side of matters, we turn once again to a good friend, former sergeant in the LAPD, author of Black and Blue, The Creation of a Manifesto, the true story of an African-American woman on the LAPD and the powerful secrets she uncovered, Cheryl Dorsey. Sergeant, good to see you again.
Hi, Ed. Thank you.
Sergeant, let me get to you what Brian Fletcher just talked about. And Brian's a former mayor of Ferguson, and he has lived there, he has been there his whole life, and he has watched as everything has happened here in the last couple of months. And the feeling that he shares with so many others is that there is a constant hammering away at Ferguson, and it has been this way from the administration, from the Department of Justice, from so many others, and it's helping to not allow the people of Ferguson to heal. Would you agree with that? Do you think that they deserve the time to heal, or do they, and again, speaking professionally, did they need to have someone come in and that police department's got to be rooted out right away?
Well, Ed, we see that the problems with the Ferguson Police Department are cultural, and they're from the top down, and we've talked about this before. And so if you want true healing, then there needs to be accountability, and there's yet to be any. The police chief resigned, and he gets to walk away with a golden handshake, $100,000 salary. Seems hardly like a penalty to me.
Brian, your reaction to that?
I disagree. Chief Jackson was a very honorable man, and is not uncommon for the person of his position to have a separation agreement. The citizens I have talked to have not been upset about that at all.
We have to, I think, get down to the point here where we start to figure out how to make this issue heal here. And Cheryl, I'm going to come back to you because I know we've talked about being really harsh and the DOJ getting involved here, but in light of what happened last night, people now taking pot shots at cops who aren't even on the local police department, how do you then start to get this community and the people around it to at least understand we're trying to move ahead? Isn't that a message that needs to be told?
Well, because we haven't really tried, right? And so I hear the words, but there's no action behind it. And so while I don't condone violence of any sort, certainly those officers are not to blame personally for the tumultuous situation that's going on. But until there's accountability, and when you allow someone to resign, which I call the gift that keeps on giving, when you allow them to step away after having done bad things, and there's no criminal penalty for that, there's no financial penalty for that, then really there is no accountability and nothing has been done.
Brian, I understand that you would disagree with that, but can you at least not see what the whole perspective is from the outside looking in here? Because there are people who will say that Ferguson has made mistakes and Ferguson needs to pay for them, despite the fact that you don't want your hometown crushed here, but something's got to happen. And do you think the sergeant is right that things need to be done that are actually out there, that are substantive, that people can get their teeth into?
Well, first of all, everyone who's making comments doesn't live in Ferguson, and they don't understand our community. We are a community of 20,000 people. There's been approximately 25 cities that have been investigated like this by the Department of Justice, much larger. Our concern is about the viability of our future, that we will not be financially and economically bankrupt by the Department of Justice findings. There has been approximately 1 week since these findings have been released. There has been immediate action by the City Council, substantial action. If you would understand the Missouri state statute about releasing a police chief, you would understand that that cannot be done. First of all, the city manager resigned. The council does not have the authority to release the police chief. It had to be by a mutual agreement and resignation. Otherwise, it would have took months longer. If the protesters are not happy with a week to get the chief to resign, what would several months have been with all this going on? So people making comments do not understand the Missouri state statutes, nor the city of charter or the city of Ferguson.
Cheryl, 30 seconds here. What would you suggest then to the police department and the government in Ferguson, Missouri, from your perspective and your opinion, to do from here on out?
Well, I don't have to live in the city of Ferguson to recognize right when I see it, and I haven't seen anything right there yet. We had the police chief deny that racism even existed, and so if we need to put laws in order to have there be some accountability, then I propose that our legislators enact laws that will allow them to then go after those people who abuse their authority.
Brian, I'm going to give you a last shot on this because I understand you're holding a candidate forum tonight, and a promotional email, you had the phrase where it said, "It is time to take our city back from the outsiders." 30 seconds. What do you mean by that?
The outsiders have been primarily the protesters. Our local citizens are not causing these problems. For the most part, they were not the ones that burned the buildings. There is no excuse for burning 21 buildings to the grounds, the majority of which were minority business owners. And my organization, I Love Ferguson, is the only organization that's taken the time to raise money for those business owners to rebuild. No outsiders have done that. It's only been the local citizens that have taken the control. And we want our city back, and we're going to fight to keep our police department. And this is a wonderful city, and those that are making negative comments do not live here.
All right. Brian Fletcher, we're going to stay in touch with you because you're dedicated to the city. Cheryl Dorsey, Black and Blue, the creation of a manifesto. Your comments are always welcome. I thank you both for being here. We'll talk to you again. MidPoint will continue.